Yeah. All right. John in Georgia sounds fun. John, you're talking to Eric and V. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Well. What do you want to talk about?
Hey, get right into it. For both of y'all, do y'all believe in free will, and what kind of free will? Just,
Yeah. No.
No. Okay. Could you explain what you do believe as far as free will or absence of it, or,
Sure. To the best of my understanding, we've been able to track everything we do to our brain states, and we've been able to see decisions being made before we even cognitively considered what that decision was going to be. You can take that back, and really, I think that free will is kind of more of an illusion. We're doing what we're doing, and we're on this path, but I don't see any place for free will. I mean, I don't think that there's a ghost in the machine. I don't think there's some spirit piloting my body separate from myself. And if, we as living beings are interacting, I just, what would free will look like at that point? You know what I mean? If you're making a choice that's in a physical brain, would it have always been that way? I think it's been argued, yes, but I don't know. What about you, V?
I don't think we have free will in the sense that people think we do. I think that for the benefit of everybody, we need to act like we do have free will, because otherwise people, I don't know how a society would work if we didn't think that we did. But if you get down to neurochemical level, I think that probably at least the majority of what we're interacting with on a day-to-day basis is a result of just chemicals and neural pathways that have been built over time. Combine that with environment and surroundings and upbringing and culture and external pressures. I think it would be very hard to argue that free will in a libertarian sense actually existed.
Well, I understand what y'all are saying, and maybe I'm being too simple about it, and I'm sure y'all have heard this before, but I would like to get y'all's take on, if we don't have free will, how would y'all say you came about not believing in God, and maybe I came about believing in God, and who's right and who's wrong, or could we even know?
Well, I think we should try, regardless. I think the more we learn about the world that we're in, the better we can cope with it and deal with it and make good decisions. I would say always err on the side of more information. It may be that we just have gotten different or more information than you. We were both born and raised Christians, and I'm assuming you're a Christian, John?
Yeah, I would call myself that right now.
Okay.
You would or wouldn't? I'm sorry.
Well, I guess I would say I'm hanging on to it.
Gotcha. Yeah. How you came to get there is you had so many tools. I mean, before I really learned how to think critically about it, if I was told, hey, you want evidence for God? Look at the beauty of the world around you. Look at the trees. And I'd be like, oh, okay, that's God's fingerprint. I didn't know what that means, but okay. But it wasn't until later that I was like, okay, let's apply some critical thinking here. How do I know that's the case? I don't. And just upon further examination, it just didn't hold water anymore. I think that I would challenge you to do the same. And if you come to a different conclusion, that's okay. But I want to know why you came to that conclusion. Because if you're right and I'm wrong, I want to know so that I can be right too. I want to know as many true things and as few false things as possible.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm understanding. But last thing, if we don't have free will, can we blame anybody for doing evil actions?
Yes.
Well, how do you square that circle? Because
Sure.
if you say they didn't
Well,
Yeah.
there are a couple things. The first is the prison system. So for the sake of this conversation, people in the live chat, I understand that the American prison system is fucking horrible. That is not the point. Set that aside. That said, if somebody is a danger to themselves and others, they need to be pulled away. We should take them out of the general population if they're going to be murdering other people or they're going to be disruptive or dangerous to society. Whether or not there was free will, wouldn't that still be a good idea?
Well, yeah, and that's the point.
And then on top of
I'm
that,
starting to see.
yeah, and then on top of that, I think that if we did see it as a system where that was built upon an understanding that we don't have free will, I think we might, just might, start turning our attention toward recidivism instead of punitive measures. So instead of going, you are being punished by being put in this cell, maybe if we are, broken as far as automatons are concerned, maybe if we fix somebody, we can make the world a bit of a better place and not have to spend so much money keeping people locked up like animals.
Right. There's a concept that exists where right now, if someone does something bad, the assumption is, oh, you have the free will to not do that, and you wanted to do that, and you did it, and it made you happy. And that understanding influences prison sentences. It influences rulings, like we become then punitive towards individuals who maybe didn't have that kind of free will to make that decision in the first place. So yes, we should be making sure that the general public is safe from people who may be programmed, for lack of a better word, to act in certain ways. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't take care of those people as well and do our best to fix them.
Right. As a social species, we're kind of compelled to at a certain point. So, the idea, this person's blameless because they didn't have the choice. Whether or not they had the choice, if they're going to be a danger to themselves and others, they need to be taken out of the population. They need to be separated so they don't hurt themselves or others.
Well, I agree with that. And I thank y'all for taking my call. I thought I had a point, but y'all have given me something to think about.
I just out of curiosity, what was your point?
Well, really, I've just been thinking if we don't have free will, and what I mean by that is libertarian free will, then are we making choices at all, to the basic, what are we going to eat for dinner? Or is all that programmed? And am I programmed to believe this, or are you programmed to believe that? And to me, that this kind of gets to, if I'm programmed to kill somebody, can you really blame me? But like you said, no, but still we need to keep us safe.
Absolutely. And on top of that, whether or not you have the free will, that's not something to be upset about. That's not something to despair about. Just take a look. We can build computers that can learn on their own. We can build a program that can write a program more complex than itself, right? The idea that that there's something bad about that concept is ridiculous, because the more we progress as a society, the more we're growing. And if we bend that toward truth, if we bend that toward investigation, then we're going to benefit. Not only us, but future generations. And whether or not you have the free will to decide, hey, I want to help future generations, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, like I said, y'all gave me something to think about, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Y'all have a good rest of your day.
Thanks so much for calling in, John.
Yes, ma'am. Goodbye.
I think it's very interesting to apply that concept of the injustice of a punitive system if we don't have free will to the concept of hell then, right? Because if we don't have free will, then why would we be tormented forever without the option of recidivism? So,
I remember in in my religious search before I kind of popped out the other end a non-believer, I had that question, and I came across somebody who said, well, some pots are made to be broken.
My Lyft driver told me that the other night.
Yeah?
Yes.
Holy shit, is that fucking terrible or what? So God intentionally created some people to go to hell. Mm-hmm. And that's just what it is. If God made everything, knows where it's going, knows where they're going, and all of that, he's creating people to send to eternal torment.
I mean, at least that person follows through that internal logic to its natural conclusion and doesn't try to take a hard left. But still, that's terrible.
Right?
That's awful.
Yeah.
Also, if you're a Lyft driver, don't say those things to your passengers. That's disturbing.
How the hell did that even happen?
I was wearing a Godless Bitches shirt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fair.
Fair.
That's